Hey everybody, James M here. I want to share with you a story that just happened with another member of VA who asked me to make this video because he thought it would help other people. I was walking him through a reframing exercise, and hopefully it'll be as powerful for you on this video as it was for him. So he was all tied up in knots, feeling really ashamed and embarrassed from some of his own behavior, but also he'd been called a lot of names from his spouse, and he was just in a triggered state, in that state. And so walked him through the reframing exercise, which is basically two parts. The first part of the reframing exercise is a graduation ceremony, and the second part is a new job. Okay, and that's the reframe. The reframe is actually changing your brain patterns so that when you take in this certain information, the output is now joy and love and prosperity and the things that you really want out of life, instead of just anguish and pain and sadness and sorrow. So the first part, the graduation exercise, is okay. Here I am. I'm going to be giving myself an award, like a Grammy. I'm giving myself a Grammy, and I get to and that part of me that's creating this situation gets this award, and then gets to give a speech and thank everyone involved. So it was something like this, like, okay, I want to talk to the part of myself that is helping me create situation where I feel ashamed and embarrassed and sad and lonely and disconnected and upset and some anger and frustration and pain. Thank you for helping create this kind of situation so I could experience this as a human being. You have done an incredible job, and it's time for you to graduate. I want to give you an award. So come on up and get your award. He comes up and the first thing, and this is really important when you're doing the reframing exercise, to make sure you include this part. The first thing I want to do, as the part who's created all of this stuff, is I want to acknowledge that I have really enjoyed my work. This has been a blast. I have loved creating this sense of pain and sorrow and shame and this anguish. It's been delightful. And I now would like to thank, I couldn't have done it without a lot of people. And so I want to thank those people. And this is an important second part of this neutralizing the trigger in this first part of the graduation ceremony and the reframing exercise. So I want to thank some people who are really important to pulling this off. First, I want to thank, and I was speaking kind of on behalf of him, what it would be like if I was in his experience. I want to thank my wife for playing her part. I want to thank my son for playing his part in this role, in this experience. I want to thank my dad. I want to thank my mom. And so many memories are now popping up around how, relating to my mom and my dad, I felt this kind of experience. And this is where we're getting into the root of the pain that's causing this pattern, this repetitive pattern, right? I want to thank my dad for, wow, just so many memories are now popping up about times when I felt like this around him. It was so thank you for helping create this blueprint. And my mom for playing her part, and my brother for playing his part. And we just go through all the people, these teachers and these couple of coaches. And, for this person, when I mentioned his son, that's when it really broke open for him and he hit this deep point of grief, just grief and sadness, like really hit the pain point. And that is the unlocking of the trauma. That is where you break open and you neutralize. You're now no longer being driven by this pain to behave in certain ways, but you're just feeling the pain, feeling the grief, feeling the sorrow, feeling the loneliness. Sometimes you get to a point where you just break down in tears. My experience is that happened a lot, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just feel a little minor relief, and that's fine too. To get to this place, I could hear it in his voice. I could hear it. He was sobbing on the other end of the phone. I could hear him. He had neutralized. He was no longer upset. He was now really genuinely feeling his feelings. By upset, I mean triggered upset, right? He was now feeling genuine feelings of grief. And then comes the rewiring of the brain. Would you like a new job? Would you like to take all of this energy and the effort and the intelligence, the focus and the strength that you have used to create situations like this, scenarios, sensations like this, and create something else? What would that job be? And what I heard from this person was, I want to create situations where everybody feels loved and everybody feels safe and everybody feels happy and abundant, and along with abundance, financial abundance as well. I want to hear everyone laughing together and be in joy and peace. And so that's the new job. So I generally say to that part of myself, great, that's your new job. Let me know whatever resources you need or any help that you need in creating these scenarios, and go ahead and get to it. And that is the reframing exercise in its entirety. And my experience is now when the input of those scary experiences or someone name calling or whatever that situation is that used to create this shame response and this anger and this fear response, now, because we've rewired the mind, I'm sure there's a scientist out there who's going to prove this. I don't have scientific proof for this. I just have experiential proof that this works. But I'm sure that as brain science continues, there will be someone who proves exactly what happens when this happens. But it is a rewiring of the mind. And now what happens is that horrible input comes in, but the output is now peace and tranquility, because I'm no longer affected by all those past experiences. Now, this doesn't mean my life is perfect and everything's great and you do this once and you're fine. What it is it's like digging out a giant plant out of your garden. You dig, and then you dig around and you dig around and you dig all the way around, and then you think you've got it, but then you realize, oh, there are more roots and it's deeper. And so you keep digging around and around and around, and eventually you start rocking it, and some of these roots start to break, and you kind of get down there and you're like, I got it. And then you realize, oh, no, now there's a tap root. I have to go deeper. And so you go deeper and deeper, and eventually you get that out. And then you're so clean. And what this reframing exercise is one of those shovels. So we end up doing this a lot. As this input comes and we trigger, do it again. Input comes, we trigger, do it again. And I have to say, my first 2 or 3 years in VA recovery, I probably did this 5 to 7 times a day, because I was triggering a lot coming in to VA. I was living in a state of trigger and I didn't even know it. I was in a low level trigger all the time. And then these little thoughts and things and input would trigger me off more. And I noticed those. And so I would process that. Eventually, after time, I got down. To where literally one day, about 10 years later, I realized I was like, oh my God, all my trauma with a capital T is gone. I've neutralized it all. I'm now dealing with limiting beliefs, and it was gone, just gone. Miracle. I couldn't even believe it, but it was true. So there it is. There's the reframing exercise. I hope you got what this person just a minute ago got out of it. But it's a start for you. Give it a try. If you mess up, just come back, listen to the video. But the thing is, make sure that you're not berating yourself. Like, thank you for creating, you were so great at making my life horrible and making my life, and you're just re-abusing yourself. Don't do that. Just stick with the feelings, creating an experience of sadness and pain, and go with that. That's more honest, and you're not going to re-traumatize yourself in the process. Good luck with it. James M. out.